Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Fantasy Chancer, the fantasy football show that we bring you each and every week here on the Upper Tier podcast on YouTube. Okay, so we're going to kick into my team from last week, which I was absolutely delighted with. So we're going to start off in goals. I had Bernd Leno, cheap goalkeeper, 4.5 million. Not expecting a ton of clean sheets. I am expecting him to be a busy boy, and he was a busy boy last week, finishing on 12 points with 3 bonus points on top of the clean sheet. So 12 points for Bernd Leno. Absolutely delighted with that one. In the back, we had William Saliba and Sven Botman. Sven Botman got an assist. William Saliba also got an assist. Lisandro Martinez didn't start for Manchester United and he came on and got booked, so he finished on 0 points. In the middle of the park, then I had Mo Salah picked up 5 points. Rashford didn't do anything last week, but picked up a clean sheet in Manchester United's controversial win over Wolves. So Rashford on 3. Mitoma, 5 points, another assist for him. And Bukayo Saka with a screamer for Arsenal last week with 10 points. Up and top then, Haaland captain, self-explanatory. I think it's going to be the same week in and week out. And with over 91% of fantasy football users have him now at the moment. So it is going to be a case of you got to captain the guy every week because people are going to captain the guy. So what you've got to do is you got to figure out ways around it. So if you're pumping 14 into Haaland, you got to make sure that the rest of your team is performing. And normally in fantasy football, your captain is everything. But when everyone's captain is the same guy, maybe the captaincy, whilst it's important, but everyone's going to end up with the same points, really. So it's going to be very interesting to see what way it plays out. But you just got to put Haaland as captain, in my opinion, week in, week out, and just hope that the players around him, if you can build a good squad around such an expensive player, can deliver the goods. And that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing all season anyway. So on the bench, Matt Turner with 2 points, couldn't keep the clean sheet against Arsenal. Dan Burn with 2. Pereira did not play for Luton, 0 points, and George Baldock rounding out the bench with 2 points. So very early days, but we can have a look at the league. So if we go in here, the upper tier. So at the moment, I am second in the league. And by the way, my team name this year is Kenny Out because I'm still Stephen Kenny out, obviously. And that's a story and a conversation for another day. So in total in the league this year, we have 33 people. So some people didn't resign. That's fine. We had 44, I think, last season. So Kirk Loco is the early out and out leader at the moment. So I'm going to go into my team for this week. Deadlines tonight, guys. Matt Turner is going to be my goalkeeper. Sheffield United at home. Um, Sheffield United, you would imagine, are going to struggle this year, maybe for goals as well. So that could be a good one. And I also have Baldock in there. So I'm hoping for a 0-0 tonight between Nottingham Forest and Sheffield United. So William Saliba is in there. Tricky game for Arsenal Monday night away at Crystal Palace. We know that Palace can really put it up to teams out there. So, and Lisandro Martinez then as well. Lovely Jemison and Coke. Lisandro Martinez, Tottenham away. You were feeling there was going to be goals in that game. And Manchester United not off to a great start last week in terms of their play, but they still picked up the 3 points. And that is the most important thing when you are going into game week 1. In the middle of the park, then, we have Mo Salah, Bournemouth at home. I think Liverpool won that game 9-0 last year. So, and then they ended up actually losing then away to Bournemouth. It was a crazy year last year, but if they can do a 9-0 again, that'd be great. And Salah with 6 or 7 goals, grand. Rashford, big game for Marcus Rashford. Obviously, big test for Manchester United this weekend, coming up against one of the perceived top 6 in Tottenham. Perceived, but tricky game nonetheless. And yeah, I would be expecting Man United to beat Tottenham, but I think there'll be goals in there. Beside him, then Mitoma, Wolves away. Wolves were pretty decent at Old Trafford last week, and their problem last year was consistency. So it's very hard to call. Brighton look like they're picking up where they left off last year, so that's great for them because they have the ability to lose players and then replace them, and it's almost as if that they aren't even missed because of the recruitment system there. So that's interesting. And Bukayo Saka, Crystal Palace away. Tricky games to say for Arsenal, and Eddie Nketiah is there, and Eddie is simply there because he's cheap and he's going to be playing whilst Jesus is injured. And last week he did pick up a goal, so I think he's a good option there, not for the season, but certainly for the start of it until Jesus isn't injured. Ollie Watkins in the middle of the two strikers, and he is coming up against Everton. Everton, you got to say that not a lot of business was done there, and they could find themselves in deep trouble again this year. Very lucky to stay up last year. So we'll see how that one goes. And obviously, Erling Haaland, captain, Newcastle at home. Newcastle with a great win over Villa last week, but you'd expect Man City to have too much for them at this point. On my bench then, Bernd Leno, even after his heroics last week, I just felt that Matt Turner may have a better chance of a clean sheet. And obviously Dan Burn and Sven Botman both on the bench, as I don't expect Newcastle to keep a clean sheet against Manchester City. And I have transferred in Marvelous Bakamba into my team. However, Luton are not playing this week because their stadium isn't ready in time. So that's pretty much what I'm going for this week, guys. Don't forget to check out the Upper Tier podcast here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, get the content out there. Boys are over 1,000 now, so we need to push on and get to 2,000. Have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves.